I have a ghost chart for you today, and we're going to see if you guys are picking up some of the stuff I've been trying to teach you. As well, I want to look at the Dow Jones Industrial Average, the Nasdaq, and the S&P 500, because those indexes, we've had a couple of good days, and everyone's acting like we're off to the races again. Things are getting a little bit better in the short term, but let me show you exactly where we are at with all of these indexes. Plus, lastly, I had an epiphany about the gold coin contest. So if you stick with me to the end, we're going to talk about that in this video too. For many of you, this is your first time here. My name is Peter Leeds. I'm the small stock specialist. And you ask yourself, why small stocks? Because they produce the greatest returns. And understand that nothing we say in this video at any point is intended as personalized trading advice for you. What unbelievable timing. Russia is making a lot of noise about pricing oil in rubles. And there's even discussion about food for oil transactions. But think about the last video I did was about losing the petrodollar status. And that plays exactly into everything I told you about in that video. Now, the thing I notice is that sometimes when the market has a strong day, it goes up a few hundred points, people are acting like, and the media especially is acting like, wow, that was a close one. We're off to the races again. Permanent prosperity, everybody. How do you think this is going to end? But listen to this. I'll tell you exactly where we are at. I told you before about where we topped out in some of these markets. I want to show you exactly where we're at with them. If you go up to somebody on the street and ask them, hey, how's the stock market doing lately? They'll say, oh, it's had a couple of good days. People have short memories. They think that they see a couple of up days that everything's back to the way it was and that things are going to be awesome. Let's look at the exact indexes. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is down about 10% from the high where I indicated here in a previous video for you guys, right there. Nasdaq's down about 12%. S&P 500 has dropped about 6%. And because of short-term memory and a couple of good days on the markets, people are thinking that the market's doing so much better than it actually is. It's not going up. It's not a strong market. It's a market that's dropped 10 or 12% in a pretty short time frame, with a lot of underlying structural problems beneath the entire concept of the investing markets. Everything is held up by the efficiency of the companies in the market and the underlying economy. When the underlying economy breaks down, as it has been for many, many years now, getting worse and worse, then the strength holding up the markets is under a lot of pressure. But let's get to the ghost chart. What I did here is I captured a bunch of charts of this investment, and I stripped out the names and anything except for the actual price activity. Even the trading volume is not here. What I'm showing you is a 40-year chart of this investment. And take a look at it. And what do you think? Do you think that there's momentum? Do you think there's a lot of demand for this particular investment? And here's a 5-year chart. I've even got a 1-year chart for you guys. And if you want to get even more granular, we'll look at a 6-month chart. So again, what do you feel about this chart? What is the story that the activity of this investment is showing you? And for a lot of you, I know that you're probably already realizing what this is a chart of, especially if you've seen any of my videos before. But here's a 6-month chart for you. Here's a 3-month chart for you. It's all telling the same story. Whether you're going 40 years back or 3 months, the story is accumulation. The story is demand. The story is significance of value. And this is a chart which you probably have already guessed what it is, but maybe not. This is a chart of gold. And you know I put my money where my mouth is. I'm not just telling you something and doing something different. If I'm telling you that I'm mostly invested in gold and gold mining companies and gold-related assets, that's because I believe that that is going to be an incredible investment going forward. A big part of why I have that premise is that there's so many price drivers which are actually very optimistic for gold prices going forward, not pessimistic. Very bullish, not bearish. You've got China and Russia both aggressively buying gold. The people of Russia are incredibly aggressively buying gold because their ruble has absolutely collapsed. There's no certainty about where the economy is going. And that's the thing you notice, is that gold always comes down to no matter what. There can be a war, there can be sanctions, and gold is still, even after the currency collapses, gold is still the asset that everybody goes to worldwide, and it always has value. When you strip out all of these man-made and man-imposed currencies and concepts, you're left with, when you get rid of all that in a time of war even, you're left with the value and the exchangeability of gold. It has been nature's actual money for thousands and thousands of years. And of course, as every fiat currency declines to its eventual destination of zero, as has been proven over time in history, any currency that's a fiat currency that has not yet absolutely disappeared is just on the path to do that, especially with the ways that governments can just create more money. They will always do that. So as the American dollar declines on its standard path for a fiat currency, it goes towards zero. As it decreases, especially decreasing faster because of the monetary creation, which has been historically unmatched ever than it is right now in the United States, that puts pressure on the dollar. The dollar comes down, therefore it takes more dollars to buy the same asset of gold or whatever asset, but it takes more dollars to buy gold. That will make the nominal price of gold seem to be increasing, even though the value of gold has never, ever, ever changed. Gold equals gold. And of course, it's always a flight to safety. It absorbs risk-off dollars. When there's something like a war, there's a price premium put on things like gold because of the uncertainty, because of the military engagements. And so what are we seeing right now with gold? We're seeing both of those at once. A declining dollar with a breakout of war. And last time gold broke through $2,000 American dollars per ounce. And it's hit all-time highs across every possible currency. And it will continue to do that again and again to a further extreme. But it broke through 2000, and I wrongly thought that it would never look back, that it would break through that point and just keep on going. But it came back down. And what I'm saying is that a lot of times when you have a resistance zone, I'm not going to call it a resistance level, but with gold right now, between 1950 and 2000, that's what I would consider to be a resistance zone. When you get into those levels, there's more impetus for people to be unloading gold or buying less gold. That's kind of the range right now. Things will change and the range will be much, much higher. But for now, every time we approach 2000, we're even bouncing off that level a few times. My premise was that if we broke through, we just go off to the races, but it's not yet. We've tested the resistance level. What happens with the resistance level when you do break through it strongly? That generally becomes a support level. And the prices never look back. They never go below that again. That's my premise of what I think is going to happen. We are going to keep testing this resistance zone between 1950 and 2000 until we solidly break through. And then I believe after that point, that whole zone will become a support zone, and we will just keep on trending higher over time. That upward trend will also accelerate when a few things that are working against gold, such as price fixing and comments that you're hearing from the people who are telling you that we'll never have an economic crisis again in our lifetimes, that the economy is so strong, and you know that I'm putting my money where my mouth is. If gold prices do what I think they're going to do, then I'm going to be sitting pretty, and you can get in on that too. I think everybody, especially in this absolutely historically unmatched time in our economy, has some kind of exposure to precious metals. If you can't afford gold, buy silver, something. And I'm not giving you trading advice. I don't know what you should do. Maybe gold goes down to $5. And I think that when gold also starts to finally move the way it should have been moving years ago, then that momentum will get a lot of eyeballs on it for the first time after a long time. People forget the point of gold. They don't understand what it is. They don't understand what it's like, especially with 14 years of no recession where the markets are doing so well. People think, well, what is the point of gold? It's nature's insurance. If you don't have gold, you're going to realize how valuable and important it is after the fact. You're going to do, as my girlfriend Jane's friend said to her recently, I should have listened to Peter when I first talked to him. And she says, yes, you should have. And I'm saying, yes, you should have. And you should listen to me now, too. Because I do think that this is one of the few life rafts available to you as we go through absolutely stupid transition set up by a lot of decisions by people who thought that they knew what they were doing, that don't know what they're doing. And I'll get into the details about the gold coin contest in just a second. First, I want to mention one article that stood out to me. This is from CNBC. The U.S. and its allies said Thursday they're moving to block financial transactions with Russia's central bank that involve gold. Putin has been building his gold stockpile since 2014. What else happened in that year? They invaded Crimea. So you have both war, so price premium on gold, and at the same time, they're restricting a lot of the total global supply from being transacted in certain ways that go against their sanctions. Now, there's not a lot of gold in the world. People don't realize that. If you took all the gold in the world and melted it down, you could fill up 2 Olympic-sized swimming pools. Contrast that to what I always tell you about platinum, which is 30 times more rare. You could take all the platinum above ground in the world and crush it into a cube. And I always say, you could put it in your 2-car garage and still have room to park your other car. And I imagine if you did have all the platinum in the entire world, your other car wouldn't be a minivan or a Prius. It'd probably be something fancy. So Russia owns $100 to $140 billion, according to this article, of gold in their reserves, which is about 20% of all the holdings that the Russian central bank has. The Bank of Russia announced February 28th, shortly after several Russian banks were removed from the SWIFT bank messaging system, that it would resume the purchase of gold on the domestic precious metals market. So you see this? When there's sanctions and war, it still goes back to gold having value. Especially, listen to this part. The U.S. says that Russia can and has used gold to support its currency as a way to circumvent the impact of sanctions. One way to do that is by swapping gold for a more liquid foreign exchange that's not subject to the current sanctions. So even a villain of a nation is able to use gold to support their economy. That's because gold will never lose its value in the eyes of humans. New guidance from the U.S. Treasury Department states that American individuals, including gold dealers, distributors, wholesalers, buyers, and financial institutions, are generally banned from buying, selling, or facilitating gold-related transactions involving Russia and the various parties that have been sanctioned. All of this makes the perfect, awkward segue into the gold coin contest. This is the single best prize on the internet for what you have to do and what your odds are by far. I take a loss on it. I told you that. My vision was to make it an annual thing, and that was right when coronavirus hit. But I'll tell you what we did last time. And I had an epiphany the other day where I was having trouble with it, and I look at it a few degrees differently, and I figured out everything. What we did last time. Y'all submitted coffee mugs. And my son got the coffee mugs and he put them on a green screen so that we could put them on the videos sort of rotating around. You could see what the entry was. But then we put them all in one place and you guys voted on which coffee mug you thought was the one deserving of the gold coin prize or the 1 ounce of gold. And what we did last time, if you remember, we did a coffee mug contest. Everybody made coffee mugs that you submitted, sent them in, and my son took each coffee mug and he put them on a green screen and he had them rotate around so that we could put them on the videos. We curated them all into one spot and you could vote on which one you thought was most deserving of winning the contest. The winner of that contest was the one that I thought was the deserving winner. This was from Chris, and he sent in a mug where he took the Oedipus and put that on the mug as part of the design. And it's my favorite coffee mug, and I sadly broke it. I've broken a lot of coffee mugs because when you're in a wheelchair, you put itself on your lap and then you grab the wheelchair and you go and it falls off and breaks. So I've broken several of them. My dad has a bunch of the other ones, but it's all about who you guys think is the most deserving entry. And it wasn't a lot of people that entered. This is one of the things I'm starting to realize is that there's a lot of value in having a smaller channel. I want a bigger channel, I do, but when it's small, you can do whatever you want, basically. Well, I guess I could do whatever I want anytime. But I also realize that it might not have been as environmentally friendly as it should be because we can do whatever we want for the contest. So that's why this one, I'm changing it up a bit. You're not going to have to send in something. Well, you'll send it in digitally because it's going to be a photo contest. And please don't send anything in yet. Just not yet. Let me get through what I have to tell you first. And that was what I want to do is do it like an annual thing. And I'd take a loss on it every time, but I would do it as an annual thing. And it's pretty good for promotion too. Also, it helps show people what the real value of gold is. You don't want this prize? You're missing out. But after we did the first one, I wanted to do it like an annual thing. That's right when COVID hit. We lost a couple of years. And I'm not sure that we're quite out of COVID yet, but I am going to do the gold coin contest very soon because I figured out how to do it. I was looking at it the wrong way. Rather than making it like one thing where I get somebody like, here, you oversee the gold coin contest and they got to set it up and unroll it, I can do it in stages. The stages are you submit your entries for a certain window of time, and that way I can oversee it all. I'm a control freak, so I'll oversee the whole thing. That way we'll know everything, every step of the way it's going well. Because a lot of people try to take advantage of this kind of contest too. And a lot of the prizes for the gold coin contest are the things that I also sell. But instead of disrespecting you or trying to drive it down your throat every time we do a video, rather, what I'll do is I'll put it all on a certain page, and that's where we'll have any videos or any details about what the prizes are. That way I don't have to interrupt these videos, the flow of them, to be talking to you about all the stuff that we're giving away. It's going to be a photo contest. So try to get high definition photos and you send them in. There will be a window of time where you send in the photos, and I'll tell you when it starts. Do not send anything yet. And then we'll curate them, put them all on a certain page, and then you guys will be able to look and decide which photo entry you feel is the most deserving. And of course, no disrespect, no racism, no chauvinism, or else I'm just going to delete your entry. And you can vote for your own entry. And the reason I'm telling you about this ahead of time is because it helps me be motivated to really drive this through or unroll it. But also I want to give you guys time to think about what kind of entry you want to make. And then there'll be an open window where nobody sees any entry. You send in the entry. All the entries come in. And then everybody can see them all at once. Because I don't want you seeing what somebody else entered and then changing what you're going to enter. You want to send in a photo that you think that everybody also vote for, the most deserving photo. So there's going to be a website that'll have all the details. And when we're ready to go, I'll be directing you to that website. It'll tell you when is the time to submit your entries. It'll give me time to curate the entries and present them in a way that you can go and look at them. And then it's time for you to vote. But here's the thing. The prize value is worth people who know a little bit about computer programming, hackers, to try and take advantage. We were doing the voting before on SurveyMonkey or something like that. And my programmer took one look at it. He goes, that isn't secure. He knows this stuff, believe me. We've got to go off the grid. That's the only way to make it completely secure. We're going off the grid. What do I mean by that? When it comes time to vote, you're going to reach out to Tammy. You can call her or email her, and you tell her what your vote is. And that way, she's looking for anybody who votes more than once, and she's cross-referencing it all. And by going off the grid, it's a lot more realistic to make sure that only the deserving winners get the prizes. And you can encourage my team and I to make more videos just like this so that you get access to them as we create them, as you want them, just by doing one click. Subscribe to the channel. It's easy. It'll help us out a lot.